We are here with round 12 action. Kirk, Dupe, Snacks, Dubé alongside John, Calchexis, Kettler. We've got a pretty decent matchup. Throwback to round 1 with Michael Catron and his Regirock deck with Jirachi, Stellar Wish, and Connor Finton, who's going to be playing Archie Stoys, a deck he's piloted in the last couple tournaments. Before we dive into these decks, though, a lot of cool things have been going on in these last 2 days. A lot of Pokemon singles you might want to pick up, and our friends over at FullGripGames.com have got you taken care of on Pokemon singles. Use promo code LGN10, that's LGN10 on checkout to get 10% off Pokemon singles. Kettler, you've got the lists in front of you. Talk to me, baby.
Yeah, and we have a lot of singles here that you could be buying from Full Grip Games because we have Connor here with his Archie Stoys list. Again, you've already talked a little bit about Michael Catron's list. We've seen that before. Tanky Regirock deck with its Omega Barrier Ancient trait. It's able to block the effects of item cards, be able to protect itself effectively from just about any trainer card, allowing the Pokemon to keep things like Focus Sash on to great effect, avoid its energy getting discarded. But Connor's list here, it is the Archie's Blastoise deck that many of our longtime players and watchers have come to know and love, probably not hate, but they might at any rate. But this deck, we've got multiple cards we've seen before. We have, of course, the single copy of Onyx from Legendary Treasures as a non-EX, non-GX attacking option. Volcanion Prism Star is both a non-EX, GX attacking option as well, but a way to get some bench damage on and maybe shake off Focus Sash. So at any rate, going down the list here, it looks pretty straightforward for Archie's Blastoise all around. Interested here to see what you think about just how the matchup might go.
So I think Michael being able to initiate the action, keeping his Regirocks preserved on the bench with that Omega Barrier trait, will allow Michael to initiate the action on his turn when he's ready to attack. The downside of that is Connor Finton does have Wailord, Magikarp, GX, which has that huge 300 HP, and that is just a tough number for Michael to hit. He's really going to have to use the Focus Sashes he's got. He's really going to have to leverage these last chance potions if your Pokemon is below 30 HP, heal 120.
Yep, and it has a perfect combo right there with the Focus Sash, and ironically in some ways it works even better with Regirock than it would with its contemporary counterpart Groudon, Primal Groudon, from just about the same time period with the same general deck theory behind it, with Omega Barrier coming into play. But because the max HP is pretty much the full health for last chance potion, it's going to work out okay. So I agree with you. I think I see that being a tough thing to overcome, that amount of HP. But with enough Regirock hits, especially with maybe a good coin flip here or there, Michael might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, of course, the strong energy going to help that out. Really needs to leverage those Focus Sashes, as I've mentioned, and Connor just needs to execute his game plan, get the Blastoise with Deluge out early, and be able to apply pressure to Michael, because Michael does have to attach one at a time. He is playing 3 Max Elixir, however, only 6 basic energies in the deck, so that is really a high roll. And the players are set up and ready. Let's just jump into the action. Connor Finton on your left, Michael Catron on your right, and that Onyx in the starting spot for Connor. Not exactly what you want to see, however, Battle Compressor is a great card for Archie Stoys to have in its opening hand, and we're going to see some discards some discards happen to this Battle Compressor.
Oh yeah, and we're going to see the main skill of Archie's Choice players come into effect right here, where you skip the whole evolution period for a Squirtle, for a Wartortle. You go straight to Blastoise if you pull off Archie's Ace in the Hole, that other old card from about the same Primal Clash era from a few years back. If you have a completely clean hand, just the Archies by itself, you can search your discard pile, put any water Pokemon into play, and then draw a new fresh hand of 5. So the skill element that I'm talking about here is, of course, narrowing down your hand enough that first turn of the game. And it looks like Connor has several options to do that. You were talking about the Battle Compressors, and there's also that Superior Energy retrieval in his hand as well. The item card letting him discard 2 cards from his hand to get up to 4 water from his discard pile, put it into his hand.
Connor's moving fairly quickly here. First battle compressor is Water Energy, Blastoise with Deluge, and a Propagation Egg. The second battle compressor, Tate and Liza, Archie's Ace in the hole, and the other Blastoise. Blastoise definitely wants to be in the discard. The whole point of Archie's Toys is to use all the puzzle pieces you've got to form the complete picture, and Connor's going to see if he can put it together here. Another battle compressor elects to choose Ultra Ball, thin that hand down.
And he even had a computer search off of those 4, so he could have searched his deck for any card based off of that, but he's already got just such a fine setup right here, a fine combination of cards. He's going to prefer to hold on to that computer search for later on. He's like, you know what? I don't need to play this right now. It's a better card to have in the late game. Let's just burn an Ultra Ball.
Connor Finton, Ultra Ball, throws away some useless cards from his hand, grabs Volcanion Prism Star, and that goes right on the bench. Superior Energy Retrieval going to pitch 2 waters. Now, the way the text reads, you can't grab the water energies you discard to Superior Energy Retrieval to put it back in your hand. So that's why, although played it, only grabbed 1 water, attaches it, and that's an Archie's Ace in the hole. We've got a Deluge Blastoise coming into play. And Connor also gets the ability to draw 5 cards here.
And Connor's shown us why he's been at these top tables time and time again, having, despite a ton of options, a ton of choices, he set that up in not only a fantastic way to guarantee the Archies, but he set it up in maybe just about the most optimal way he could.
Got to give credit to Connor. Great pace of play with Archies, where you take so many actions on your first turn. It's very important to get it done as efficiently as possible to make sure that that's not one of the reasons you're running out of the time at the end of the round to turn your wins into draws.
Exactly, and it's not unheard of to take up to maybe 4 minutes or so on one of those Archies turns, but Connor's like, you know what? Only needed less than 3. I'm good.
Rapid fire turn here from Michael. Nest Ball grabs another Regirock. Focus Sash. Basic Fighting Energy. All come down on that new Regirock, and then a quick Cynthia, going to shuffle his hand in, draw 6 cards here, and see if Michael can get a nice established board state, maybe hit a fortunate Max Elixir right at the beginning here, and be able to apply pressure on his terms with the Regirock.
And we were talking about this earlier. Not sure if we might have been talking about it earlier on stream, but with Michael's list right here, he only runs a total of 6 basic energy cards. So it's actually, yeah, and we were talking about that at the very beginning. The odds of being able to hit a Max Elixir, successful one, off of that few basic energy is actually really low. But Michael's like, you know what? I need some sort of extra supplementary energy acceleration, and I'm okay even if my odds aren't the best.
Just a Jirachi after the Cynthia, going to hit the bench, and back over to Connor to press the action here.
That's right, and we're at a point with the Archie's Toys deck where we have that initial explosive start, and from there it's just mapping your turns out from what you've already drawn into, where while the options don't really get as hard as they do on the first turn of the game typically, you still have plenty of choices you need to follow, and there's still plenty of different actions and order of operations you need to be able to respect and do in just the right way. So that doesn't go away once you've already put a Blastoise into play.
Another battle compressor. That's a Water Energy Faba, and that leads me to believe that we're going to see another Superior Energy Retrieval, and that Deluge is going to be for at least 4 waters. Where they go is yet to be determined. However, Connor, before going to that line, plays a Trainer's Mail, look at the top 4 cards, grab a trainer card from among them, put it into your hand, and Escape Rope is what is found with the Trainer's Mail.
That's right, and you know what? I like the decision to dump the Faba with that Battle Compressor, even though it's not going to be relevant here due to that ancient trait. It's still going to be helpful in the sense that he's thinned his deck out ever so slightly, because you want to give yourself the best odds of drawing into what you need at all stages in the game.
Escape Rope. Escape Rope doesn't resolve. A kind of a interesting set of circumstances there. I guess because Escape Rope has your opponent act first, it doesn't allow the resolution can't go through, and Connor can't switch his Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a little bit weirder where it depends on what the target of the Pokemon is. And so because Escape Rope is a card that lets the player choose which Pokemon they want to bring up, Michael could choose his Regirock. So what we saw there effectively is that Michael chose to quote-unquote switch up his Regirock, but because of Omega Barrier, it just fails.
And I mentioned Superior Energy Retrieval. That's going to be conserved. We're going to see a Fisherman come into play. Volcanion does get into the active and deal some damage and spread it around. And that focus sash is now broken, and that's important to note. Volcanion Prism, with its spread 100 and then 20 to the bench Pokemon, is going to be pivotal in keeping those focus sashes under control.
For sure, and the interesting thing is even though neither of those resulted in knockouts, we're going to have the same result regardless whether or not a focus sash was bumped, because Michael still needs to do the same thing, which is, of course, heal his Pokemon up, but he isn't hurting too bad if this active Regirock is knocked out and he has to wait a little bit, because as long as he draws into a heal card at some point, then he can go ahead and respond in kind with a knockout.
Catron taking into consideration his options. Scramble Switch, tough use of an ace spec, but really wants to get the Jirachi up front and be able to use Stellar Wish. Tropical Beach off of Stellar Wish, not a bad card if you're not going to be attacking. Tropical Beach allows you to fill your hand back up to 7, does end your turn though.
Yeah, but when you really don't have anything else going on in your turn, might as well end it with some additional cards, additional draw power. Even though both players get to use that Tropical Beach card, obviously, because Michael is the wielder of the card because he plays the card, he has first blood on it. He controls when he can do that, and Connor doesn't have as much control of that. So if he were to use the effective Beach, it would be more reactive and arguably a pretty terrible position to be in, because now he is attacking, dealing damage with stuff, trying to move this game forward, and wasting a turn beaching off of Michael's Beach really doesn't help. So we see on cue that counter stadium come into play, Viridian Forest.
Viridian Forest, a great card and a let loose. So let's recap a little bit here. Choice Band, Water go down on Onyx. Viridian Forest, then a Juniper, then a Viridian Forest comes into play. Marshadow let loose, gonna send Michael back into the deck here, and just with 4 cards. And Connor, not too pressed that he's only getting 4 cards out of this one versus he granted computer search right there, point. Right on cue, and where I'm going to take a knockout and spread some damage.
Was that did we have 2 Yeah, we did have 2 knockouts. We had the Regirock and the Jirachi.
Volcanion Prism really earning its merit as a 1 copy in the being that it's a 1 copy in the deck because of a Prism Star, dealing a lot of damage, breaking the focus ashes, and really doing the work here.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, nothing has actually happened to that Volcanion at all. So it would have been helpful for Michael if he got like some sort of hit off on it, but he hasn't even gotten that yet. So on the Cynthia for 6, he's going to need so many cards just to be able to progress his game state a bit. He needs, I mean, of course, it seems like he's got some energy options, which is great for him, but at some point he's also going to need healing for that Regirock, or else he's going to be in a terrible position. But now he can't use the last chance potion based off of bench damage because he's not damaged enough.
Just picking it up. That Volcanion Prism.
Okay.
That Volcanion Prism, a little bit too much HP for Michael, was thinking, like, can I even one-hit knock this out? What's the odds there? And Michael saying, I'd rather have the time on the clock than fight through this scenario. So Volcanion Prism, very powerful card in this matchup to break those focus ashes. What does Michael need to do to give himself, put himself a little bit better start here?
Hitting healing cards is going to be a huge part of this next game, being able not only to draw into them, but to use them and chain them at just the right point. It seems like one thing that went against Michael is he let Connor make things out of control in a sense, because he was able to not only deal damage with his ideal attackers in that game, his ideal non-GX attackers, but he didn't have a response right away. So when you have something like a Volcanion out, and even if you don't get the first hit, you need a response hit at that moment. And based off of the way that Michael's deck works, he not only needed a response hit, but he needed some sort of way to be able to hit and not get knocked out. So he would have needed to heal up that bench damage. He would have needed to be able to follow that up with more healing. So I just want to see more healing cards. I want to see a little bit more aggression. But, I mean, it's not exactly like Michael had a choice in the matter that game.
On Michael's side, I'd like to see him hit a couple early max elixirs. I know it's difficult, but sometimes you just need things to go your way. They are ready to go. We're going to jump back in the action. Michael's on the button. Let's see if he can get a Regirock set up. Just a Stellar Wish.
And I see a computer search flashed in Connor's hand, meaning that we're probably going to be seeing a turn 1 Blastoise one way or another. That's basically almost always guaranteed with that computer search. And we have the escape board going down for that first Jirachi with its stellar guidance, and so because of the escape board, he's able to retreat despite the status condition of sleep, and so the new Jirachi after that retreat also asleep, also helping that Regirock get big, strong, lots of energy, get raring to go in the next turn or two.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Volcanion Prism is a Prism Star card, so once you work your way through it, once you work through 160 HP, it's gone. And then you don't have to concern yourself with that anymore. You can continue with your game plan.
Yeah.
So just respond to the pressure that Volcanion Prism puts on you with pressure of your own is going to be crucial, and a Max Elixir hit here is going to be a start.
Yeah.
Come on.
And
unfortunately, the
it would have been a start, but it's not surprising that he didn't get it because he attached a basic energy from his hand into play. Oh, and you know what? There's a very tiny little order of operations detail I would have liked to see. I mean, it's tough to say because by playing the nest ball and searching for a Pokemon, you have to commit yourself to benching something new. But it might have been able to thin out Michael's deck a little bit if he got a benched Pokemon target to get that out of the deck and maybe give himself a slightly better chance of the Max Elixir. He also might have been able to hold off a turn on using Max Elixir.
Especially if his intention was to play nest ball and fail it. I guess, you know, you can think one card to your point. Maybe just didn't see it worth it. Propagation Egg and Let Loose Marshadow. Going to grab Computer Search, or going to be discarded to Computer Search. Battle Compressor chosen. Such a strong card in these Archie's Blastoise decks. Really helps them going.
Yep.
And that's a Deluge Blastoise, a Water Energy, and an Archie's going to the discard.
All his pieces there. No issues at all in getting that turn one Archie's ace in the hole with that card hand count of what he has with the Superior Energy Retrieval, and looks like he's got that one Water Energy card to pull from the discard. Remember, you need a single Water Energy, at least one water in the whole discard pile, not discarded by Superior Energy Retrieval, like you said in the first game, in order to be able to play the card at all. So Connor went ahead and got just that.
Propagation Egg, Superior Energy Retrieval for one, attach it, and then that's a Versus Seeker for Archie's and Deluge Blastoise. Connor puts together the puzzle. That one looking kind of a kindergarten challenge level of getting it done there. 5 cards, Trainer's Mail.
Keeps the party going here with some more cards, but can't get a Trainer's Mail with the Trainer's Mail. Settles for the Viridian Forest, so he's going to at least have that, maybe get some more resources, but
no follow-up Pokemon yet.
Yeah, so he might have to punt the ball with an
Eevee Snorlax going to get discarded.
Yeah.
Search, discard Viridian Forest, discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a basic energy card, and put that into your hand. Just a quick way to get a water, and we could Sky Return here if we want.
Yeah, that's right. We could see a Sky Return here, so cute little play here, getting tons of energy loaded up. I don't know what the point is in playing the Extron. Maybe that was just to be cute.
Yeah, proving that you can, maybe.
Yeah. Mind games.
Over to Connor, 30 damage on the Jirachi. Focus Sash coming down on Regirock, but it hasn't been too difficult of a task for Connor to break that up. However, Volcanion Prism not in the game just yet, so not too many concerns there from Michael. Going to grab a Nest Ball off of Jirachi's Stellar Wish. Going to play the Nest Ball. Another Regirock coming into play. That is a switch. Let me get the Jirachi with the escape board into play. And to Cynthia. Shuffle your hand in, draw 6 cards. Very powerful supporter, both in standard and expanded. After these 6 cards come in, I would be shocked if we didn't see a Stellar Wish. And Michael's just thinking, please just let me get a Max Elixir hit so I can start attacking before Connor gets rolling.
Yeah, and it seems like the Stellar Wish might be able to get just that. Digs a little bit, but whiffs it.
Lysander coming to the hand off Stellar Wish, uses the Viridian Force, pitches the Lysander immediately, grabs another Fighting Energy. That's going to go on Regirock.
This really isn't a bad punt turn to say, because, and it's almost similar to what Connor was dealing with, where even though Michael's not dealing damage this turn, it's effectively the same thing because it isn't resulting in a big knockout, but that Regirock is going to be set up for a future turn. Adventure
Bag. Search your deck for 2 tool cards, put them into your hand, and Focus Sash Assault Vest pulled to the front. Scratch that. I don't want either of those. I want a skateboard on this Jirachi. Retreat has already been done for this turn, though, so that Jirachi is going to be in the active for just a moment. but not until after a Stellar Wish. Stellar Wish.
Stellar Wish.
Stellar Wish.
And looks like he has that last chance potion that was sitting there, but he opts for the Cynthia for additional draw power. Makes perfect sense because, you know, didn't look like a terribly strong hand based off of the little I saw. So you have that keeping momentum. You have more of everything that you can get. So that's why people run draw cards in the first place, and that's obviously why Michael went ahead and got that for Jirachi.
All right, we have the Waylord. Waylord tag team, Magikarp Waylord tag team, Carp Lord, if you will, coming to the bench. Viridian Forest, Choice Band is discarded to that. Load up the odd and set up for 6. Connor is cruising and bruising here.
Do you think he's going to be digging for a big Wailord play here?
That Ultra Ball is very nice. Get rid of the Deluge Blastoise. You don't want that in the deck anymore. Search up a Pokemon that you want. Is Volcanion Prism tucked away in there, or is it tucked into the prizes? And it is in the prizes on that first search through, on first glance through that search through.
Right. And curiouser right now. I could see this going multiple ways and there being multiple different paths that Connor could follow. There's just a clean knockout this turn, maybe leaving it at that. Of course, he could go for a more explosive turn, and we have Field Blower going down, just bumping nothing but escape boards. Remember, guys, Omega Barrier is in effect, so the effect of that trainer card would do nothing. And we've got a second Archie's ace in the hole. I love this decision here. It's one of those conservative plays that you can make in the mid game usually with an Archie's deck. You just get a second Blastoise or maybe some other single copy inclusion like Kingdra GX into play. But here, Connor's opting for a little bit of a safer call in case that first Blastoise gets knocked out. I like this.
Connor gets another Blastoise down, as you said, very conservative route after taking a knockout with Onyx on the Jirachi. The action is put on Michael, and he leads with an N. Both players are going to shuffle their hands into their decks and draw cards equal to the amount of prize cards they have remaining. So for Connor, in this case, 5 cards for him. For Michael, that's 6. And I just don't want to see the clean 2-game all prizes sweep. I really want Michael to take a prize somewhere along the lines here. Here are the Max Elixirs. They're coming in now.
We got the manual attachment for the turn and a failed Max. Oh wait, that's still our guy in 6. Yeah, card count. Digging a little bit, thinning out the deck before thinking about playing any of those Max Elixir, and
that's a fail.
Swing and a miss.
We got to think. We're taking a look. One of the basics is in hand. There's 2 in play. That's half of the basics in the deck, and you can feel Michael's frustration. However, the odds are certainly piled against him when it comes to these Max Elixirs, especially how the board's set up now, and just a pass. And Michael is truly fighting from behind, down, but certainly not out.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be seeing more of the same from Connor for the next turn or two. But of course he's eyeing that Wailord, the Magikarp and Wailord GX, the tag team GX being relevant later on, but right now he's settling for Onyx just doing its thing.
Just a water energy after the Viridian Forest is used pitching, I believe. Is that a Kingdra? I think we have a Kingdra GX.
Yeah, I think that it is too.
I think that's Palkia.
Yeah.
I think that's Palkia GX that went in there. Michael versus Seeker. N. Play the N, shuffle in. Connor's going to grab 4 cards this time. Michael's still on the full 6. And Regirock needs to be able to start attacking here shortly. It is down. It does need 1 more energy to be able to attack. Dark off the top, strong. Might be where he goes. It is. Tropical Beach bouncing the Viridian Forest. And the first knockout for Michael. Regirock is in.
Yep, and those strong energies are loaded up on the Regirock with no problem. I kind of dig this cute little play it seems like we might be seeing right now. So the Shaman can serve 2 functions right now. It can Sky Return at some point, deal a little bit of damage and force a potion. I don't feel like that's as aggressive as I would like. Maybe it's the only option that Connor could go with, but at the same time, it can serve as a pivot into another attacker with that cheap retreat cost. It's the cheapest retreater out of everything Connor has in play right now. So he could just go ahead and set it up maybe for a Volcanion later.
What might be what I like about promoting the Shaman is a water energy attachment and a Sky Return breaks that focus sash.
Yeah.
So that just takes care of it now, gets a little damage on the board.
So the work
preserves
is
some water
exactly.
energy.
So the work then is on Michael to play not one of his last chance potions, because again, too much HP left, but one of the other healing cards he has, like Pokemon Center Lady for clean 60 or a potion for a clean 30.
Ultra Ball, discarding Propagation Egg, and Superior Energy Retrieval.
Oh,
and
we got
there's
that.
the Palkia.
Yeah, there's the Palkia
There's
GX.
the Palkia. Man, I'm having trouble. I'm looking through this list, and I'm having trouble identifying what that rainbow rare is that went. Was that maybe Tapu Lele? That was a rainbow rare that was discarded.
No,
However, that's
no.
that's in the past. We press on. Fisherman being used to return 4 water energy, and those are going directly to Palkia. Palkia's GX attack gonna knock off. Was it all the everything that's on your opponent's Pokemon deal 100 damage?
That's right. So you shuffle all energy cards back into the opponent's deck. So at that point, it's really disruptive here. Zero Vanish GX, putting the pressure on that Regirock to do something, and honestly, probably one of the perfect responses to something big and clunky like Regirock. So all that work, all those turns spent attaching have resulted in 1 knockout and 1 Onyx.
Connor draws, plays a Juniper. Gonna draw 7. At first I thought Connor was extending the hand, but he just wanted to look at his discard. What are my options here? Starts with the trainer's mail. 1, 2, 3. There's escape rope. That's a way to get a Blastoise out of the active.
I'd say so. Although it'll get it out of the active, but at the same time, it won't change, or it could change it depending on how Michael wants to approach it.
I think Michael would just leave the Regirock that's heavily damaged up front.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be that helpful.
Somewhere else.
I don't think it would be that helpful to keep up. The draw power of Jirachi would be better than having a 3rd Regirock.
Connor's going to announce a knockout. That is down to 3 prizes for Connor. At least we've seen Michael take 1. Versus Seeker, Lysander, how many times can you get this thing out of the active is the question that Michael wants to ask right now.
Yeah.
And maybe seeing that Connor has a slim deck, hoping that maybe the Guzma's prize, something along those lines, and that, well, Guzma is going to be ineffective because the Regirocks are on the bench.
Exactly, and that's the thing about Guzma is you need to be able to pull off the switch before you get to bring up a Pokemon of your own. But going back to this Lysander play, I like the Lysander play. I mean, there's no question that the board is looking ugly for Michael, but he's playing to his outs, and it's a good defensive play to at least force Connor to lose some resources to get that Blastoise out of the active spot.
Trainer's Mail, Superior Energy Retrieval, one that
and then right on cue. Right on cue, you're gonna switch
I'm done here. I am done here.
Yeah, and so that was a pretty big routing. I don't feel like the matchup as overall as tilted as it seems like those 2 games imply, but that's just how it goes sometimes. And it does seem like Archie-Stoice, especially with all the different cards that Connor had in his list, it seems like he had his number.
Yeah, Connor early identified in both games what his approach was going to be, which attacker is going to use. Second game, you saw that Volcanion Prism was prized. Connor went into the Onyx and then said, okay, let me take some knockouts with Onyx and then set myself up to be able to use Palkia to come through and take those final knockouts. Cheeky little Shaman Sky Return to break a Focus Sash, and he was off to the races. Unfortunately for Michael, didn't see those Max Elixirs early enough to really apply pressure of his own, and when he did see them, they failed.
And that was it.
So a series of unfortunate events, a lemony snicket if you will, but we're going to go grab Connor Finton, and we're going to have ourselves a winner's interview real quick, and I believe we'll be able to switch to another match. We're going to get confirmation on that. So we're going to grab the winner's interview. We're going to knock that out real quick, and then we'll be back with more action.
We have a lot going on, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Hello, trainers. Welcome back to the 2019 Hartford Regional Championships. I am here with our round winner, Connor Finton, with Archie Stoy. So tell me a little bit about how you decided to, like, your thought process for choosing the deck today.
Well, honestly, I didn't put a lot of thought into this weekend. Last weekend was
good.
the European International Championships in Berlin, so I went and played in that, and I was home for about 30 hours and then flew here. So I just took my list from Daytona Regionals and changed a single card.
So you basically just had no time, and that's part of the thing about having so many tournaments is it's a marathon in some ways. So how is that sometimes how you have to approach deck selection? Do you kind of have to play it on the fly like that?
Yeah, sometimes. And then, like, for this tournament, especially, like, Archie Stoy's deck I've played a lot before, so it's a comfort pick. So a lot of times, I've said this a lot, that the most important thing is that you know the deck that you're playing. That's more important than matchups. It's more important than you know, just like pure skill. It's just knowing your deck.
And I saw you playing, and you were really comfortable with Archie's choice, without a question. So, did you have any changes between Daytona and this tournament, or
the only difference is that I had 2 field blower in the list in Daytona, and I cut a field blower for Faba for this tournament.
Now, with Omega Barrier in play, Faba isn't going to be as relevant, but has it been pretty helpful throughout the day?
It worked. I used it a couple times yesterday. In times that the blower wouldn't have worked to get rid of special energies on like Pika ROMs where they have the flash energy, so you can't knock them out with Onyx. I did that a couple times yesterday. Otherwise, it's been pretty much the same as the field blower. It hasn't made too big of an impact either way, but I think the card's still pretty solid.
Awesome. Well, hey, Connor, good luck. Pretty close to top 8 possibly with the next couple rounds.
Hope so.
Yeah. Hey, good luck, man.
Thank you.
And with that, we will be coming right back with the backup round.